2008, the Stolen Generations received a national apology for the wrongs done to them by previous governments. As a nation, we learned a lot when the Bringing Them Home report was released in 1997, and we have continued to learn in the years since. That report revealed the tragedies of many of those children who were often terribly abused, neglected, and unloved. The apology affirmed our nation's agreement that we should never accept or condone the removal of children from their families based on race. But today, as I stand in this place, I am deeply saddened by the knowledge that we have much more to be sorry for around our treatment of Indigenous Australians. Unlike many of the most vocal urban Aboriginal activists, I have visited remote Aboriginal communities throughout Queensland, the Northern Territory, South Australia and Western Australia. I've seen for myself how governments turn a blind eye to at-risk Aboriginal children. I have sat with elders and learned firsthand what they need and what they want to rid their communities of the evils of violence, abuse, alcohol and drugs. And I've seen how children are repeatedly returned to parents who persistently abuse or neglect them, parents who demonstrate a complete inability to deliver the care and attention those children so desperately need. We're talking about abuse and neglect that would make your toes curl. From rampant alcohol and drug abuse, into family and domestic violence, some of the worst you will ever see, the starvation and malnutrition of children, the denial of education because too many Aboriginal parents refuse to send their children to school, and worst of all, prostitution and pedophilia involving reportedly children as young as 2. And all this in 21st century Australia, in one of the most economic and socially advanced countries on the planet. And why do governments of today refuse to remove at-risk children from these households? Why are they afraid to treat at-risk Indigenous children the same way they treat non-Indigenous children every day of the week to protect children in any city or town in Australia? Why do they shame us all as a nation by not reaching out effectively and saving the lives and futures of these children and their communities? Like many Australians, I believe both sides of politics are all too afraid of being labelled as creators of a second stolen generation, as false as that accusation would be. They lack the courage and will to act in the face of the cancel culture on behalf of these children and the families who desperately cry out for rapid and empowering solutions. So my apology is to today's Indigenous victims, the ones who live with and suffer from the horrors of child molesters, the ones who today as we gather here, are breaking into people's homes to steal food from fridges. Today I'm saying sorry to all the Aboriginal children who should be spending their first few weeks in prep or primary school, but their parents simply don't care enough to get them there. I'm sorry for the children of parents who have told me they feel shamed by their own lack of education and tragically can't support a world where their kids will earn more than them. I'm sorry for the sit-down money. We're paying a growing number of Aboriginal parents who have no inspiration to improve their own lives, let alone their children's, through meaningful employment. I'm also sorry for those Indigenous kids who have never been tucked into bed by loving parents, but are instead ignored by those who are too busy drinking to worry where their kids are late at night. Of course, self-styled Aboriginal elites, like Senator Thorpe, would prefer we continue working as she does to create permanent victims out of First Nations people.
Sorry, I didn't. Senator Waters is on your feet. Senator Hanson, I didn't catch what you said there. I am going to ask. I'll check the hand safe otherwise. I was listening. No, sorry, Senator Waters. I I've taken your point. I'm addressing it to Senator Hanson. I can't remember, couldn't hear exactly what you said, Senator Hanson. I'm going to ask you to reflect on the words you used. If you think they were a reflection upon another senator, rather than criticism of a senator's political activity, I'll ask you to withdraw. I will check the Hansard afterwards if otherwise.
I won't be withdrawn.
Okay, well, I'll check the Hansard. If there's an issue, I'll have to come back to the chamber because I didn't hear the term used, and I won't ask for it to be repeated at this point, in case it is. Senator Hanson, please continue.
Senator Thorpe seems to have made it her life's work, at least at present, to enjoy the substantial salary of her position while she works to ensure Indigenous communities remain trapped by the permanent evils of victimhood.
I'm going to... This is a... I'm listening very carefully. There is a tension between the rules guaranteeing almost absolute free speech in this chamber, the rules on negative reflections on other senators. I'm going to take some advice on the words that have been used here, and I will come back to the chamber. I will also say that there are also standards that don't have to be reflected in rules, as I've often said, that can actually ensure the good nature of debate in this chamber. So, Senator Hanson, I'm not going to rule that was an unparliamentary reflection. I will take advice because I think that was not absolutely clear with my understanding of the standing orders, but I will check the words very carefully. If it assigns a motive or imputes a motive, I will deem it unparliamentary. If it is a criticism of action, then I'm afraid I don't think as a general rule that can be deemed unparliamentary, but I will very carefully review the words. And Senator Hanson, I'm going to ask you to also, from this point forward, consider the rules on reflecting on other senators in the remainder of your speech, because we do have stricter rules on reflection on members of senators and members of the House than we do on general comment. Senator Hanson.
Thank you very much. Because without victims, the Senator and her green, truth-denying colleagues would have no relevance in this place. But I believe with all my heart that we can help create champions out of our Indigenous children. Champions who go on to become contributing members of their communities and the broader working Australian society. Champions who are proud to be Australian. Champions who also insist on improving the health, education and prospects of future generations. Champions who do not see themselves as victims. But most politicians in this place will only ever run decoy to the real issues plaguing modern First Nation Australians. We must remain colourblind to ensure the safety and upbringing of all our children, no matter their skin colour or culture. We must show courage and determination to provide the opportunities and pathways that will protect and empower all young Australians. And we must call out the cowardice and the manipulation of the truth-denying elites who seek to keep any group of Australians trapped in permanent victimhood. We should behave as the advanced first world nation we are.